Rusty, the little diesel engine, loves working on the narrow gauge railway. The little diesel always knows everything. One day, Rusty was on his way to the wharf when he saw Frank, the new diesel engine. "Where are you going?" asked Rusty. "I can't really take all those gunpowder wagons. They might explode. That's why I'm so worried about them," Frank said. "Don't worry," said Rusty. "I'll take all of your cars for you." "All right," said Frank. "If only you have time and do a good job." Soon, some of the gunpowder cars were coupled behind Rusty's slate cars, and Rusty was on his way to the wharf. Soon, Rusty arrived at the wharf. Thomas was waiting. "Rusty," said Thomas, "I thought Frank was taking the gunpowder cars to the wharf." "But Frank didn't want to pull the gunpowder cars, Thomas," said Rusty. "He said he was new and worried." "Oh," said Thomas, "I didn't know that, Rusty." "You told me the truth, didn't you?" "I did," said Rusty. So Rusty left his cars at the wharf and he scurried off to the sheds. "I hope Frank is fine," said Rusty. When Rusty returned home, the other narrow gauge engines were waiting. "There he is," said Peter Sam. "What you doing, Rusty?" asked Rheneas. "Nothing much," said Rusty. Rheneas wasn't sure about it when Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "Rusty," said Sir Topham Hatt, "well done. You've brought them all for the wharf, so tomorrow is market day." "What's market day, sir?" asked Rheneas. "Well, the market stands are going to be built at the wharf tomorrow," said Sir Topham Hatt. "So, Peter Sam, I need you to take the market stands to the wharf." "Yes, sir," said Peter Sam. "Thank you, sir." The next day, market day arrived. "Morning, everyone," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Peter, Sam, and Rusty, I want you two to take the market stands to the wharf." "What will Peter Sam do?" asked Rusty. "You can take the passengers to the wharf with your coach Catherine," said Sir Topham Hatt. "No problem, sir," said Peter Sam. "Catherine will be pleased to see me." Soon Peter Sam collected Catherine and was looking forward to greet the visitors. "Now, Catherine," said Peter Sam, "Rusty's delivering the market stands to the wharf, and we'll bring the visitors to the wharf." "Is that what Sir Topham Hatt said?" asked Catherine. "Yes," said Peter Sam confidently. So the visitors boarded Catherine, and they set out to the wharf. "Let's find the way," Peter Sam said happily. "Where is Rusty?" said Peter Sam. "I promised to race him to the wharf." Soon, Peter Sam pulled up to the picnic area, where Rusty was already waiting with the market stands. "Hello, Rusty," whistled Peter Sam. "Hello, Peter Sam," said Rusty. "I'm going to the wharf too. I just picked up some market stands." "That was going to be my job," said Peter Sam, "but now Catherine and I are bringing some visitors to the wharf." So Peter Sam started off once more, and Rusty followed. "Whoever goes to the wharf is the winner," Peter Sam said. "No problemo," Rusty hooted. At last, the two engines arrived at the wharf. So Rusty unloaded the market stands, and Peter Sam dropped off the visitors. "I've won!" Peter Sam tooted. "I've won!" Rusty was tired but happy. "I'll win on my way home," Rusty said happily. Then Thomas arrived at the wharf. "Hello, Peter Sam," said Thomas. "I've heard you were racing Rusty." "I did," said Peter Sam. "Catherine doesn't mind going fast. She enjoyed it." Thomas knew that Peter, Sam, and Catherine were good friends. Then Rusty pulled up alongside. "Well done, Peter Sam," said Rusty. "You are a credit to the railway." "Thanks, Rusty," said Peter Sam. So Peter, Sam, and Rusty were talking to each other all day long.